Hi guys, I'm going to go over your Unit 4 study guide. I would encourage you to pause this video whenever you need to, rewind and rewatch whenever you need to, and hopefully this helps you out a little bit for your test. So the first problem says an automobile company plans to invest $9 billion in its manufacturing plants. How is this number written using scientific notation? So a lot of words, but all we really have to do is take this number and write it in scientific notation. Remember, on this number right now, the decimal is right here at the end, because if I put 0.0, that still says 9,200,000,000, right? So I have 9,200,000,000 with a decimal point right here at the end. To write the number in scientific notation, I need to move that decimal point so that I get a number that's between 1 and 10. So 9.2 is between 1 and 10. Scientific notation, I always have times 10, and then I count how many spaces I move the decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my exponent is going to be 9. Now, you could have instantly crossed out these two answer choices because they're not in correct scientific notation. Then you just need to decide, is the exponent 8 or 9? And we know that it's 9. Be very careful. You are not counting the zeros. Some people might say 8 because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 zeros. You are counting the spaces that you moved the decimal. The next one says that the speed of light is approximately 3 times 10 to the 10th centimeters per second. Sorry, someone came in the room. Anyways, the speed of light is approximately 3 times 10 to the 10th centimeters per second. Which measurement in centimeters per second is equivalent to that approximation? So we need to figure out which one of these is 3 times 10 to the 10th. And what I would start off by doing is putting these two in scientific notation. 300 in scientific notation, I would put the decimal here. It started here. So that would be 3 times 10 to the second. You also probably knew that that couldn't be the answer because 300 is, if this exponent is 10, it's going to be a really, really big number, right? So let's try this one right here in scientific notation. The decimal is here. I would place the decimal after the 3. Let's count how many spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that would be 3 times 10 to the 10th. So D is your answer. 30 to the 10th power is going to be, or we could say 30 to the 10th power is 30 times 30 times 30, all the way 10 times. 30 times 30 is going to be 900, right? So we know that that's not going to be 3 times 10 to the 10th because it doesn't start with a 3. 10 to the 30th power is going to be 10 times 10 times 10, 30 times. First of all, that's way too much, especially if this is 10 to the 10th power. Plus, it's also not going to start with a 3. So your correct answer for that one is D. Let's look at number 3. When we see that fraction bar, we know that we are doing division. So we have 7.2 times 10 to the negative 6 divided by 3.6 times 10 to the 9th. So when you're dividing, remember, first step is to divide the numbers. Now, use your answer choices. You know when you divide, it's either going to be 2 or 3.6. So do your long division. 7.2 goes inside, 3.6 goes outside. Remember, when you're doing long division, you need to move the decimal so that this number here is a whole number. If I move the decimal once with that number, I also need to move the decimal once for the number inside the house. Bring your decimal straight up. 36 goes into 72. I can either say 2 or 3 times looking at my answer choices. Let's try 2 first. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So it looks like 2 times is our answer. So I can cross out C and D. Now, remember the rule with the exponents is that we subtract the exponents. So I have negative 6 minus 9. If I'm at negative 6 on the number line and I'm subtracting 9, that means I'm going this way 9 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that would be negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So negative 6 minus 9 is negative 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, negative 15, right? So it looks like B is your answer. Which expression is equivalent to 8 times 10 to the negative second power times 2.4 times 10 to the negative third power? We're multiplying. So remember, first thing we do is multiply the numbers. Now, if I look at my answer choices, I can instantly cross out A and B because those are not in correct scientific notation. So I don't actually have to do the multiplying here because my answer choices tell me that 8 times 2.4, oh, you know what? I bet 8 times 2.4 is 19.2, right? So this would be a 0. 4 times 8 is 32. Add a 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 8 is 16. I'm adding these. 2 plus 0 is 2. 6, 7, 8, 9. 1. I have 2 numbers behind the decimal, so 2 numbers behind the decimal. So I have 19.2, always times 10, and then remember your rule is that you add the exponent. So I have negative 2 plus negative 3, which is negative 5. But this number is not between 1 and 10. So to make it a number between 1 and 10, I need to move the decimal 1 to the left. I have 1.92 times 10. Now since this number got smaller, it went from 19 to 1, this number needs to get bigger. 1 bigger than negative 5 is going to be negative 4 because negative 4 is closer to 0. So C is going to be your answer. Number 5. If 672,342 is equal to this in scientific notation, what is the value of n? So basically we need to figure out what the exponent is. So our decimal starts here. The problem tells us we're moving the decimal between the 6 and the 7. How many spaces is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 spaces. What is the value of t in the equation below? Again, decimal is here. The problem told us we're moving it between the 2 and the 8. 1, 2, 3 spaces. B is your answer. Number 7, the distance from Earth to the Sun is approximately 9 times 10 to the 7th miles. The distance from Earth to the Moon is approximately 2 times 10 to the 5th miles. Approximately how many times the distance from the Earth to the Moon is the distance from the Sun? So it's asking me how many times, which means I'm going to be multiplying. It says how many. I don't know how many, so I'm going to make that my variable. I'm going to make it y. Then it says times, that's my x, the distance from the Earth to the Moon. According to the problem, the distance from the Earth to the Moon is 2 times 10 to the 5th. And that's equal to, is, this word right here, remember, means equal to, the distance from the Earth to the Sun. And according to the problem, the distance from the Earth to the Sun is 9 times 10 to the 7th. So that if I wanted to solve that equation, I would divide both sides by 2 times 10 to the 5th. These would cancel. I'm left with my variable. The number of times is equal to 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. If I do my long division, 2 goes into 9 4 times. 4 times 2 is, oh, you can't see that. 4 times 2 is 8. Subtract 1, add a decimal, bring down a 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So my answer would be 4.5 times 10, and then when you're dividing, you subtract the exponents. 7 minus 5 is 2. Excuse me. None of these are in scientific notation, though. They're in standard form. So to turn this to standard form, I'm going to take my decimal, and I'm going to move it to the left 2 places because I know that my number needs to get big since that's a positive exponent. 1, 2 places, fill in my 0. Your answer is D, 450. Number 8, the probability that a student will answer 6 multiple choice questions correctly by a random guess is 6.4 times 10 to the negative 5th. How is this probability expressed in standard form? So I have 6.4. My exponent is negative 5. That means I'm going to move my decimal to the left 5 places. 2, 3, 4, 5. Put my decimal down. In these empty waves are zeros. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, and then the 6 and the 4. So which one of these answers? That's 2 zeros. That's 3 zeros. That's 4 zeros. I know it's a really small number because the exponent is negative. And again, use your answer choices. All your answer choices, the decimal moved to the left. Which fraction represents a repeating decimal? This is review. So remember when we have repeating decimals, I usually have 9 in the denominator, but none of these are 9, right? So what I would do is take your numerator and your denominator. Someone came in again, sorry. Take your numerator and denominator, and I would just divide them. Figure out which one is repeating. I would cross out B immediately because you know 3/10 is 0.3 because the 3 is in the tenths place. Let's start with 3/11. Add your decimal because 11 does not go into 3. Add a 0. 11 goes into 30 2 times. 2 times 11 is 22. We subtract, we get 8. Bring down a 0. 11 goes into 80 7 times. 7 times 11 is 77. Subtract, we get 3. Bring down a 0. 11 goes into 30 2 times. Uh-oh. Well, aren't we lucky? 2 times 11 is 22. Subtract, I get a 7, and it looks like this is the repeating decimal here because that pattern is going to keep repeating. If it was an A, you would try C, and then you would try D. Number 10, which number is equivalent to the repeating decimal 2, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2? So it looks like the 2, 4, and 2 are what's repeating. So I know that it's not going to be A or C because I know repeating decimals, the denominators have 9s. 3 numbers are repeating, so that means I need 3 9s in the denominator. So B is going to be your answer. This repeating decimal would look like 2, 4, 2, 2, then 2, 4, 2, 2, then 2, 4, 2, 2. Doesn't look the same as this up here. There's an extra 2 here in the middle. Number 11, which expression is equivalent to 3.25 times 10 to the 6th plus 3.25 times 10 to the 5th? We're adding. So remember, before you add, you need a common exponent. We always change the smaller exponent to match the larger. This exponent got bigger, which means this number here needs to get smaller. So now I have 3.25 times 10 to the 6th plus 0.325 times 10 to the 6th. All you need to do now is add your numbers. I'm going to look at my answer choices first to help me out. I can cross out A and D because they don't have an exponent 10 to the 6th. So now I'm just figuring out, is 3.25 plus 0.325 equal to 2.925 or 3.575? It's got to get bigger because I'm adding. So there's no way B could be the answer because that number is smaller. It has to be C. I could also say 3.25 plus, make sure you line up the decimals and add a 0 when you're adding. 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 3 plus 2 is 5. Bring down your decimal. Bring down your 3. Keep your exponent times 10 to the 6th, and that matches answer choice C. Here we are dividing again. So remember, first step is to divide the numbers. So 6.2 goes here, 3.1 goes here. Have to make it a whole number, so we have to move both decimals over. 31 goes into 62. I